Welcome back to another video, guys. My name is Ben from Flow Brackets, and today we've got in this beautiful BMW X5, which is brand new. That's just come from the dealership straight to here, which is a perfect opportunity for us to show you how to put number plates on it, because BMWs come completely virgin from the factory. And when I say completely virgin, that means there is completely no holes in the front of this bumper. But sometime in its lifetime, to get the car registered, you'll have to fit some sort of number plate to it. And that means drilling holes into this beautiful new car. And this is why a flow bracket system is perfect for a brand new BMW. Let's get into it. Before we get into installing our bracket onto this car, let me explain a little bit about the problems that most BMW owners face. Again, this is a virgin bumper, and that means that there is completely no holes on it. And what the standard practice is across Australia is they get standard issue number plates, usually slimline in this format. Some states have a slightly smaller size like New South Wales and South Australia, but generally speaking, 372mm by 100mm tall. And they always come with a very similar pattern across the top. You've got this corner hole, these two holes in the center, these two holes here, and this one here. What most dealerships do is they align it somewhere in the middle, and they just put in a screw here and a screw here, and they call it a day. That's okay, but it's probably not the best way to do it, because these metal plates are generally quite sharp on the back, and when you screw it hard up against the bumper, it usually cuts into the paint or the bumper. That's one. Number two, if you screw into this hole here and this hole here, and you choose to run a smaller number plate in the future, and you take this off, you'll be left with a hole here and a hole here and your small number plate. Let's, for example, say that you do get a smaller footprint number plate and you manage to get your dealer to screw here or here, and you do take it off, you're still limited by its height adjustment. This is why a flow bracket number plate system comes into play. And the benefit is, if you choose a very central location to mount this bracket, namely maybe here and here, you can not only adjust the bracket up and down, the smallest number plate in Australia will always cover those holes that you drill. And that's why you should get a bracket. I should also point out that most BMWs are relatively flat, and most of them won't come with any holes. And this measuring procedure will apply to almost 90% of the BMWs out there, except for maybe some of the very, very new stuff that's coming out. So what Jackie is trying to do now is find center so that we can align our bracket to perfectly center, and we can adjust our minor measurements from there. What Jackie has done is taken a whole bunch of measurements to ensure that this is the center line, first vertically and horizontally, and then to mark out two drill points where we think that it should be the best to drill or install our number plate. And it's usually about 100 to 110 mil apart from hole to hole. And that distance there is going to be smaller than most number plates, or almost every number plate in Australia. So if you're looking for a reference point to measure from, usually we use the parking sensors, because parking sensors were quite accurate in the bumper. So measure from there to there, there to there, and obviously from the top of this ridge to the bottom of this ridge will give you the center line. With that out of the way, let's put in two pilot holes first. We use a 3mm pilot drill bit, and then we can put in two screws into the bracket and into the bumper, and that should be sufficient enough to hold this bracket. But I'll be showing you another way that our customer has requested for, which is a nutert way. Again, that is not a necessity. It's just an extra step to make this installation a little bit more professional. So just before we drilled, we just confirmed with the client, he actually wanted his number plates to sit a little bit lower and not in the center, because our number plates in Victoria measure 100mm tall. But this bar here, or this section of the bumper, is actually smaller than 100mm. So instead of having the number plate sit a little bit up and sit a little bit down, he wants the number plate to sit just on that ridge there, or just below where the radius starts on that ridge. Now let's install the bracket. first installation method that we'll be using the supplied 10 gauge self-tapping screws that'll go into that pilot hole, and that will again be more than sufficient to hold this number plate bracket onto the car. And then afterwards, I'll show you the nutert version. Just remember, guys, to use the spaces that are in almost every kit that we sell to go in between the bumper and the bracket. It just spaces the bracket and number plate off the car. One, to give you that floating look, and also to protect the paint from damages and scratches. Brackets do have a bit of adjustability. We always like to use the markings in the bracket to align it perfectly center. You can also rock it up and down just in case you haven't drilled perfectly center. All that's left to do is get our number plate onto the bracket. But before we do that, make sure to check out our range of optional accessories like these kingpin covers that you can add as an optional extra, as well as security screws, so that it makes it a little bit harder for thieves to steal your number plate. The next method I'm going to show you is to put in these M6 stainless nutserts, or some people might refer to them as riv nuts, but they're a one-way fitting that you have to drill out this hole slightly bigger, and then you crimp it so that it doesn't come back out. And that way you've got a threaded fixing into your bumper, which also means that it becomes a modular system that you can put any number plate bracket onto. Now I'm going to grab my step drill bit to enlarge in this hole to 9mm. Just make sure that you don't enlarge in past 9mm, otherwise the nutsert won't grab. It'll be too loose and it'll fall through the bumper. Now that we've enlarged in the hole, we can now insert our nutsert into the hole and crimp it. This is a nutsert tool that you'll have to pick up. You can pick it up from any hardware store, either Bunnings, Sydney Tools, or Total Tools. Now again, this method, it's not a necessity, it's just an option that you can do. We always like to do it because it's just the strongest and most professional way to do it. Now that we've got our stainless anchors in, this means that it can take any M6 bolt, and we provide M6 bolts with all of our number plate bracket kits. All that's left to do is put our number plates onto the bracket, but before we do that, make sure that you check out our range of optional accessories that's part of our ecosystem, like these security screws that this customer is optioned for, that goes into acrylic and polycarbonate plates. Anti-theft screws, or security screws, just makes it that one step harder for thieves to steal your number plate. But don't worry guys, it does come with a key so that you can undo it. And that's the cleanest and most secure way to get floating number plates onto your car without damaging the car. So if you guys have a virgin bumper or a brand new car, consider getting a flow bracket number plate system. I hope you found this video useful, and thanks for watching.